this Volkswagen story is just mind-blowing. I mean, what is your takeaway from this? Is this a cautionary tale about more and more technology in our cars?
Well, it's a cautionary tale about corporate malfeasance at one of the highest levels we've ever seen. I think it's a scandal of the greatest proportions. I think the consequences for Volkswagen are going to be far greater than a few $1 billion in fines. I'm certain the CEO will lose his job. It wouldn't surprise me if the company goes under as a result. I'm not kidding. This is horrifically inappropriate behavior, and I don't think that the company's acknowledged how bad it is. In terms of the software piece, it's fascinating that we have now moving into a world which we call the Internet of Things, where software is going to be in everything. And now we have an example of the world's largest automaker using the software that they install in their thing, their car, to deliberately break the law. That is a terrible precedent as we're moving into a new world of software-defined everything. I find it just plain terrifying.
So David thinks Volkswagen could go out of business at the result of this, which, you know, it's such a storied brand, Bob. You know, what do you think the real implications are here?
Well, exactly as David said. I mean, the notion that they're using software to intentionally get around the rules and break the law.
Right. It's not just that it was a software problem; it was an intentional software
I mean,
problem.
that's a big issue. And this is fundamentally the concern we have as we move into the Internet of Things. Is we're moving into this world where there is so much connectedness coming. And when you've got problems with one system and then there's other problems with another system, then you try and marry those two together. I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of this over-eagerness in IoT start to pull back. And I think connected cars, smart cars are exciting and interesting, but I think there are going to be some big challenges, you know, especially if Apple wants to try and do something by 2019.
Well, it's interesting, you know, Apple kind of getting dragged into this right now with the reporting from the Wall Street Journal that Apple is making advances in its own car development. David, you know, should we be worried about, you know, not just Apple, but other car makers and more problems like this in the future?
Well, I think all of us have to make a decision. Who do we trust? And I think the trust towards Volkswagen has been, again, horrifically broken. If you talk to anyone who owns one of the cars involved, everyone I've talked to, and I've talked to quite a few, because I happen to have a lot of environmentally responsible friends, they think, they want to have Volkswagen buy their car back. They don't want to take it in and have it repaired. They've been driving it sometimes for years thinking they were being environmentally responsible. Now they're told, no, you've been emitting 40 times more of this, you know, polluting gas than you thought. That's just awful. In terms of Apple, I don't think it really has anything to say about Apple any more than it has anything to say about any other automaker. I think Apple actually, has tremendous trust from its users, a shocking amount sometimes, you know, the degree to which people are obsessed with that company. I think if they were to build a car, people would presume, they hold them to a higher standard, but historically Apple has been able to live up to that higher standard, and I think they would with a car as well.
Bob, what do you make of this reporting that Apple is tripling the number of people that are working on this car project? Why don't they just buy Tesla?
Well, I think they want to find a way to provide the Apple level of innovation. I mean, this is one of the...
Do you think Tesla doesn't have that level?
Well, I think Tesla does, but you look at the car industry, there's a lot of players, there's a lot of opportunities. It's a very highly segmented market, and I think Apple believes that they can bring a unique set of values to this. My question is, look, yes, there's a lot of tech in cars, but there's a lot of mechanical elements in cars, right? And Apple has no history of doing the mechanical piece, the engines and all the other, the drivetrain and all those elements. Now, not to say they can't bring those skill sets in-house, but to me, that is the fundamental question. I agree, Apple's got a tremendous brand, and they will work very hard, if they are in fact to do this, to achieve the kind of trust with a car that they want. But they just see this as part of that ever-evolving world of connected devices, and they feel like they need to be there.
I don't know about you, David, but it's hard not to get excited about an Apple car. I mean, maybe that's extremely naive, but really, it's hard not to be excited about this.
It is hard not to be excited, and I'll tell you, I think I disagree. That I think Apple has fundamental advantages. In fact, if you look at the reviews of the iPhone 6s, a lot of them are saying, you know, one of the problems is Apple has us too sucked into their ecosystem and we can't get out. Well, you know, our smartphones work with our cars now And who knows how Apple may build a car that integrates with the other technology we have in a more elegant and irresistible way than anybody else can, because they control so much else of our technology. That's something that Tesla doesn't have access to. So I think actually if Apple did build a car, it would be as tied into all of our other Apple devices as our iPhone is, and that would in itself be a fundamental advantage for them.